Back here for another match review stream as Spurs lost by 2-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at the hands of Aston Villa, a very dirty Aston Villa side yesterday. And we'll start off with the match review, then get into the player ratings and the 5 takeaways and reacts as per usual. But let's start off with the match review yesterday. And let's start off with the lineup that was picked yesterday, because it did raise a few eyebrows when the lineup was announced. And I think it got received quite positively by the Spurs fans, definitely by myself. I was very happy with that lineup. I saw Kulusevski moved into the middle, along with Lo Celso and Bentancur in the middle of the park. The only thing that kind of was worrying me were the centre-backs, really. I thought it was nice to see Brian Hill given his first start to the game this season. But it was Emerson and Davis, which was the ones that really worried me going into the game. And that's kind of what came to pass throughout the game. I think when you're looking at the way we started, I mean, we started like an absolute house on fire in those opening half an hour. I mean, some of the football on display in those opening 25, 30 minutes was absolutely electric. Giovanni Lo Celso pulling the strings with Rodrigo Bentancur and Kulusevski. I mean, some of those one-touch passing and moving moves were just insane, weren't they? And I was so excited to see what was going to kind of come to fruition throughout the whole game. We could have been 3-4-0 up before we even scored our first goal. Just a bit more clinical finishing, and that game could have been done and dusted pretty much in the opening 20 minutes, but it wasn't. And then Bentancur gets that injury. It was just Matty Cash, man. I want to kill that guy. Seriously. What is he doing? Like, first of all, he should be sent off for that challenge. And second of all, like, after so long, willing Bentancur to come back from that ACL injury, gets that really bad. It looked really bad on the pitch. Obviously, we haven't heard of anything or any kind of repercussions from the injury, but it did look bad, didn't it?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We don't really know. Obviously, he tried to carry on, and he wasn't able to.
How was he not sent off?
We don't know how bad it is. Hopefully, it's not a bad one, like a long one. We know that Maddison is out for a couple months at least with an ankle injury, so maybe we have a bit of PTSD from that news, when that looked quite an innocuous one, where he wasn't going to be out for long, and then now he's out for a while. And whereas Bentancur, it was such a cynical challenge from Matt Cash, and it was so dirty, and it was so frustrating because he had literally given us such a wonderful half an hour. Bentancur, he was really patrolling the centre of the park. It wasn't just dominating physically, but some of his passing was really opening up Villa at will, pretty much. And
they didn't know how to deal with us.
Yeah,
they literally 100%. Did not.
He was unbelievable. He was probably the best player on the pitch before he got that injury, and it kind of took the wind out of our sails. The injury, unfortunately, Højbjerg came on, who I thought did a good job, but the latter part of the half, when Bentancur got injured, we weren't quite as vibrant as we were in that first part. And that football in the first 30 minutes was absolutely exceptional. And as you say about the lineup, when I saw the lineup, I was super excited, to be honest, because I didn't think Ange was going to change it that much. But I was so happy that he was being brave with his selection. He was really going for what he believed could be a side that could play his football. And I think we saw that. And in fact, what I would say is, the football we played in the first 30 minutes is probably some of the best football we've played the whole season.
Best. I don't even think some of the best. That was the best half an hour display I've seen from Spurs this season. 100%.
Yeah, and considering all the injuries we've had and all the changes he had to make, like, he picked a team where he believed that was best suited to playing his football. And I think probably he looked at the Wolves game and he thought, I'm not having another game like that. I need to change it. So, like, lots of changes. And, he was also brave to take Dyer out, and who's our only fit senior centre-back at the moment, and put in Emerson Royal because he believed he was going to be the best fit to playing how he wanted with the high line and having that pace in behind. Bentancur in the 6 was absolutely fantastic. He has all the minerals to play that role. And putting Kulusevski inside, which he didn't have to do. He could have played him out wide and maybe put Højbjerg in there, but he put Lo Celso and Kulusevski together, which no one predicted. Put Gil out wide with Brennan Johnson on the right. And it worked an absolute treat. Villa didn't really know how to live with us in that first half an hour, and we should have been at least 2-0 up. Even that probably would have flattered Villa in the first half an hour. We got the goal we deserved. But yeah, it all kind of changed a bit after that injury, and it's so gutting because there's one thing Bentancur in his first start coming back and just feeling his way into it, and then maybe he picks up an injury and, you know, maybe he's not back to his best. But he literally showed us in his first half an hour, not only is he back to his best, but maybe he's as good as ever, literally in that first half an hour. He's absolutely phenomenal. And for him to have picked up an injury so soon into the game was so gutting. And Kulusevski was, I just read an interview from him, and he was saying how he felt that Cash should have got more than a yellow card for that challenge because it was cynical, it was high, it was dangerous, and he got lucky to stay on the pitch.
But it seemed like for a moment in that first half, they were just putting in like full-blooded challenges, over-the-top challenges. I mean, they were so aggressive and dirty in that, especially in that first half, Aston Villa yesterday. I thought Matty Cash should have been sent off, in my opinion. I thought Kamara should have been sent off. I mean, he made probably about 3 yellow card worthy challenges yesterday, even just in that first half alone. So I thought they were very lucky to end that first half with 11 men, to be honest. They do get that goal right at the end of the first half, which was a real kick in the teeth, because I thought by that point we were by far the better team in that first half. And even when Bentancur went off, Højbjerg comes on, and it's a massive drop-off in terms of quality on the ball when Højbjerg goes off. But I still think we carried on playing our game, we carried on creating chances, but look, essentially that game, like I said before, just should have been over after the first 20 minutes. And I thought it was the most creative we've looked in a long time. Well, not a long time, but at least the last month or so. We've had a bit of a problem with our creative play in the last 2-3 weeks. And I thought that was kind of solved. Ange kind of solved that in the first half with Bentancur, Kulusevski and Lo Celso.
I would say at the end of the first half, though, the goal came in a moment where we were a bit sloppy.
Yeah, we were under pressure as well.
We were a bit sloppy at the end of
that was disallowed as well, which was so marginal.
Yeah, there was that, and we were giving the ball away in very sloppy areas right at the end. And then we gave away a free kick, and then obviously got the header. Pau Torres actually beating Ben Davies in the air. I wouldn't say obviously they didn't deserve to be level, but it was a consequence of just a poor end to the half for us.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I still think when you take into account that poor end of the half, we were still by far the better team over that first half period.
100%. Oh, by far. We should have been 3-1 up probably, yeah.
Yeah. And look, it was just such a massive kick in the teeth, because you go and you put in such a great performance, such great standout players like Giovanni, these standout moments like Lo Celso coming in for his first start. That was his first start for 2 years for Tottenham. And he puts in probably one of his best displays in a Spurs shirt yesterday.
And when was the last time Hill started a game? Also probably a year or so.
Exactly. And I was really impressed with him in the first half as well. Kulusevski moving into that central role, probably his best performance of the season. So you've had so many standout performers in that first half, and it's such a kick in the teeth to come away with nothing.
And what I really liked as well with seeing a difference this season with Johnson on the right, Hill on the left, actually really maintaining that width, and they didn't feel the need to constantly cut inside all the time and clog up the area centrally. They stayed wide, and it left a lot more space for the likes of Lo Celso and Kulusevski to operate in, and they were really making the most of it. They were playing some absolutely scintillating stuff, and the way they were linking up with the front three, it was actually a joy to watch. It was probably the most fun I've had watching Spurs in that first half the whole season, I would say, because some of the moves they put together was just absolutely delightful.
So silky, wasn't it?
It was brilliant.
One touch moving, getting in through on goal time and time again. It was just so frustrating that Son couldn't stay on side, because throughout the game he put the ball in the back of the net 3 times, all 3 offside, which was really frustrating, to be honest, because I think 2 out of those 3 moves were just breathtaking moves from Tottenham.
That was that one he ran from the halfway line or near the halfway line and just slotted it into the top corner. Yeah. It was a brilliant finish. And that was a great team move as well. Udogie and Højbjerg playing some really good one-touch stuff on the left-hand side. The whole team were just in tandem, and it was really great. What I would say about the second half, it wasn't as good as the first half, but we still had our chances. I think we still created more XG than Villa in that second half. Yeah, Villa definitely were more even. No, we did.
Slightly less, it says here.
According to SofaScore, it was slightly more, but anyway, it was a lot more even. I would say, in that second half. Obviously, Villa made a couple of changes. Took off Matt Cash, which was a smart move by Emre. brought off Diaby, who was absolutely nowhere. I think they were struggling in midfield, to be fair, because Diaby wasn't really helping out. McGinn was forced out wide a lot because how wide Johnson was. Usually McGinn likes to tuck inside, but he wasn't allowed to. So they brought on Tielemans. They brought on Leon Bailey as well
when he came on,
and it gave them a lot more control, unfortunately, in the game. And they definitely got a foothold. Obviously, they took the lead as well. But what I would say is they took the lead probably still against run of play. And I would say, even though they definitely got more of a foothold in the game, we still probably did create a lot of chances in that second half. And Martinez had an absolute brilliant game.
Yeah, he did. He made some unbelievable saves, especially in that second half, Martinez, 100%. But I think what came back to bite us was the defensive issues once again. You know, playing 4 fullbacks in a back 4 with Emerson and Davis in the centre. I mean, I don't know about you, but every time Villa went forward, it looked like they could score because of the 2 centre backs that we had on the pitch yesterday. I thought both of them, as much as they probably put in okay displays for them, Davis was all right, Emerson was all right, but they're just not centre-backs, and you can see it. And both the goals that they conceded, I thought, was bad defending, poor defending on their part. I mean, that goal that Watkins scores, I mean, look at the acres of space he has to run into. Emerson not tracking him. Davis and Emerson way too far apart from each other. There's just way too much space for someone like Ollie Watkins to go through on goal.
Yeah, and it felt like the whole move was in slow motion. It wasn't even like a quick move. There was only 2 players there. They made a very slow 1-2, and Watkins had all the time to just slot home that finish. And there was a lack of communication, definitely between Davis and Emerson. I think both goals, you can look at the centre backs for fault, and as well, it wasn't just those moments. There was obviously the goal that got disallowed. No communication between Emerson and Davis, and Watkins is able to get in between both of them and put in a free header. There was a chance really late in the game as well. McGinn kind of hangs it to the back post, and Watkins is just bullying Davis. All ends up there, and luckily Watkins put the header wide on that occasion. Watkins had another header from a corner. I just think our centre-backs, I thought before the game we were saying, look, Watkins up against Davis, it's going to be difficult for him to deal with him, and I thought he really struggled to deal with him specifically. I didn't even think he had a bad game overall, Davis, or Emerson, but I just think when it came up to dealing with Watkins, they just couldn't do it, basically. They really struggled. I think
it was above their pay grade.
Yeah, essentially.
It was above their pay grade, what they're doing. This is not what they're here for. Ben Davis is a natural left-back. Emerson's a natural right-back. You're asking them to form a centre-back pairing against a very good Villa attack.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what happened. I mean, they came unstuck.
Yeah, I would say in the first half we got away with it. I thought they did okay first half.
Diaby got nothing.
Yeah, got nothing.
First half. Off at half time.
But it was Watkins was the one. We just couldn't live with him pretty much whenever he had to basically physically use his body and win headers and things. Our centre-backs weren't able to deal with it. I would also say with the goal, I was a bit disappointed with Vicario because it wasn't right in the corner, and it was a good finish by Watkins, but it was low. I mean, I think he'll be a bit disappointed he didn't get closer to it because I think it wasn't right in the corner. It wasn't the most powerful finish. So I think he'll be thinking he probably could have done better with that. Maybe he was unsighted. I have to look at it again. But I don't know if it went through anyone's legs. That always makes it a bit more difficult. But I was looking at the finish, and I think Vicario will be a bit disappointed he let that one in.
Yeah, but you know what? Vicario, with the season that he has had, with the saves that he's constantly making, including in this game, you know, time and time again, how many points has he probably saved us this season alone, Vicario? So even if that, I mean, when I was watching it, I didn't really think, you know, it was Vicario's fault. Maybe he could have done a little bit better, but I'm not going to mark him down too much because of what an unbelievable season he's had so far. And in even a really strong game yesterday, in my opinion.
Yeah, he didn't actually have... He had... didn't have that much to do yesterday in terms of he made one save from Bailey, which he got a bit lucky with because I looked at the replay. He spilled it a bit under his
that's what I was thinking during the game.
And it hit the post. I thought it was when I was watching it live. I thought he fingertipped it onto the post, but it actually went under him. So he got a bit lucky with that.
That's what I'm saying. We spoke about that during the game, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I hadn't seen the replay obviously at that point, but he did do well on a couple of sweeping occasions. That was quite good. And I don't think it was his best game essentially, but I thought overall he had a decent game.
I thought he had a really good game, Vicario, yesterday. I thought he did a really good job for the team. Like you mentioned, the sweeping ability that he has. I always thought it was going to help us out massively yesterday with the high line that we played, with the defenders that we had in the back line. He had to be on point in those situations, and I thought he was. Like you say, good saves throughout the game. Could have done a bit better from that one that he let go and tipped onto the post. That was the only down marking for me, was that moment, to be honest. But other players that I wanted to mention was both Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie, and I thought the control that we had in the first half in that midfield was massively down to the fullbacks that kind of were inverting, and especially Udogie giving us a lot of control in the middle of the park. As well, like every time the ball went over the top to try and attack down that side with Udogie, I thought he came out on the better side more times than not, probably for the most part, to be honest. And Pedro Porro, I mean, the amount of times he was influencing the attack, his ball over the top in the first few minutes that put Destiny Udogie through on goal, which he should have done better from. He had a couple of shots on the day that maybe should have gone better from, and he is just so good from an attacking perspective, Pedro Porro. He really is, and I think he's actually been probably our most consistent performer this season, Pedro. I think he's in a shout for probably our player of the season so far.
Well, he got desperately unlucky as well not to get on the score sheet. He forced a good save out on Martinez with a volley, and then he also had a shot which cannoned off the post late in the game, and so unlucky in those aspects. And I think on the end of the day, he actually had 4 key passes, which was more than anyone else on the pitch. So I think he was on probably our most creative player. In that first half, his passes over the top were causing all sorts of problems for Aston Villa. And I agree. I think in the first half especially, him and Udogie playing that role really suffocated Villa. Because as I said in the preview, Villa are a very narrow team. They like to play McGinn on the wing, kind of off the ball. They played like Diaby and Watkins up front in a 2. And they really struggled to kind of find any space in that first half because we were so central. They usually get their width from Digne and Cash. And actually, Digne got an assist for the goal that got ruled out. So that's where they usually get a lot of their joy. But it was few and far between where they were getting much joy there. And we were able to suffocate them. We were able to keep Johnson and Hill really far out wide and dominate their central area. And it meant Villa really was suffocated. But as we say, they changed it at the break. They put Bailey out wide, and all of a sudden they were finding a bit of width, and they were finding a lot of joy on the counter attack. All of a sudden, and then all of a sudden, our inverted fullbacks became our inverted fullback. What did I say?
No, you said
they became.
I was about to say our inverted fullbacks became fullbacks.
Yeah, fullback. Yeah, and this is what I said at half time to you. Not to say that I thought in the second half we were bad, but at half time they made a couple of changes, and I said I'm worried now because Emre's a good tactician, and the problem when you've played as well as we did in the first half and you haven't taken full advantage of it, and it's only 1-1, and the opposition make a couple of changes like Emre did, is that you're kind of forced into reacting in that situation because you've played so well, you're not going to change how you're playing. You're going to continue to play the way you've played because you're playing really well. But Villa have changed it, and you don't know how those changes are going to affect the game. So you're going to have to wait to see how they affect it before you can change it. And unfortunately, the changes did affect it positively for Villa, and then we did change it later in the game. And I thought later in the game we did actually gain control a bit more back, and we created a few more chances, but. Unfortunately, those changes worked well for Villa, and they ended up getting them 3 points. Martinez kept us at bay, and
that save
went out to get the equal. Yeah, brilliant.
Was just insane. I mean, 30 yards. Højbjerg just does a curling effort, doesn't it? It looks like it's hitting the top corner. Kulusevski in the first minute, he's got to be finishing that. What a great move it was from Spurs. He checks inside, and it rattles the inside of the post. I mean, how many clear-cut chances and near misses did we have yesterday?
Well, I'd say that Kulusevski chance, I don't know how he makes that for himself, because he's played through from Son. It looks for all the world to see like he's overhit the pass. But Kulusevski somehow bursts past Torres and Carlos and is able to get his foot round, cut inside, and then have a free shot on goal. I thought it was incredible from Kulu just to get the shot off. But then obviously once you're in that position, how has he not scored?
Yeah, you have to score when you're in that position.
If you see the replay, he's already off celebrating once he's shot. He thinks he's scored, but it's a terrible, terrible miss. He's got to be scoring that. But I thought he did exceptional just to get that shot off.
No, he did. But, you got to finish the move. You have to finish the move once you're in that position. And it was a massive kick in the teeth that we didn't. But look, I think that first of all, Ollie Skip comes on, I think, when we're really needing some more impetus going forward. I know why he brought Skip on to stop maybe the counter-attack that Aston Villa kept providing on us, but you're looking at on our bench yesterday, there was just no one on that bench which you could say hand on heart that can come on and influence the game going forward.
I don't think that's why he brought Skip on. I think he brought Skip on because Hill was absolutely knackered. I think Hill, you could see by the I don't know what minute
Hill
Skip came on
in the second half.
I don't know what minute Skip came on. Was it like the 70th or so? But by that time, Hill, his legs were gone. His legs were absolutely gone. He was trying to even put a cross and he couldn't even do it.
Well, if that's the case, then why not bring on an attacking player like a Jamie Donnelly or even a Valise at that point?
Because he felt Skip maybe in the centre, which I did feel like he did. He just allowed us more opportunities to win the ball back, because at that time Villa were gaining a bit more control in the centre and started to pass around us a bit more, and we were losing a bit of energy in there. We needed someone to help us win the ball back a bit more. And to be fair, you know what, I don't think Skip specifically himself was amazing when he came on, but I thought we gained control back actually a bit more once he came on, and I thought we created a few chances late on, which we probably should have taken one of them. So I wouldn't say it was like a mistake, but I can understand why he did it. I didn't think it didn't work, in my opinion. I don't think it didn't work. I know we didn't score, but I thought we created enough chances once Skip was also on. So I understood it, but the problem as well, what happened was obviously put Johnson back on the left, Kulu on the right. And it meant they were kind of inverting, cutting inside rather than going on the outside, which was working so well in the first half. So that was annoying, albeit, yeah, Johnson was definitely tiring as well late on. But he created that late chance for himself as well, which, he could have scored.
That was a lovely touch, wasn't it? To just take it away from that defender. It's a shame, because when you're one-on-one at that point-blank range as well, you've got to be scoring that chance.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, I think you can point to these incidences, but even first half and second half, we created more than enough chances to win 3 or 4 games.
We only got ourselves to blame for not winning yesterday. That's the honest truth of it. Because we created the chances, we're just not clinical enough. And that's been a problem for a while, to be honest. Like, maybe we haven't created as much chances as we have yesterday, but I just feel like we haven't been clinical enough throughout the season, to be honest.
Yeah, but as long as you keep creating those chances, it will come. You have Son up front, who's the most clinical finisher there is. You can't ask for a more clinical finisher than Son. You just got to get him the chances, and he's got to stay on side. Johnson, we know he can score goals, but yesterday, definitely wasn't at his clinical best. It was, especially in that first half, he was getting in behind a few times. He actually burnt Digne so many times yesterday, but when he got in those positions, I wouldn't even say, I wasn't sure if it's decision making or just the execution. It just wasn't coming off for him. And then obviously Kulu hit the post. Hill had a chance as well where he had a shot saved by Martinez. Like, we were getting in really great positions, great openings, and some of the football to get in those openings was exceptional. Some of the best you'll see this weekend. But yeah, unfortunately, it didn't go for us in those fine moments. And then Villa, they took their chances, and that's the sad reality. And when you don't take your chances, that can happen, especially when you're playing a good side like Villa and in the Premier League. It's an unforgiving league. Yeah, no, it is. And we came up against a very good Aston Villa side. They went above us in the table yesterday with that win. And I guarantee you, though, if Van der Ven and Romero played yesterday, we win that game. Probably just one of them, in my opinion.
Maybe even just one of them. Maybe. But that's the thing that's really hard to take, because we were by far the better footballing side yesterday on that football pitch, by far, in my opinion. And it's the injuries that are kind of holding us back at the moment, which is evident for everyone to see. And you've got 3 losses in a row now. We go to Man City in the next game. And you would think, like, after 3 losses in a row with that game coming up, there you'd be a bit down and think about, where are we going under this way of playing and everything like that. But I feel the complete opposite. After seeing what we did yesterday on that football pitch, I'm just so positive about progressing into this season and showing what we can do, because I think we're only going to get better first and foremost. Like, how can we get better from what we saw in that first half an hour? It's actually frightening. And once we get our centre-backs back in January, Romero's only out for one more game, which is Man City away. I think you can probably throw away that Man City game right now, to be honest. But you never know. Stranger things have happened.
Look, if we can play some of the football we played yesterday, honestly, I think we can get chances. Obviously, it's going to be tough keeping City out. We know that. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but we can give them a game. There's no reason why we can't give them a game.
But I'm not even bothered about that Man City game. What I'm looking at is that Spurs' progression, the way we're looking in football games, once we get the players back, I'm so confident that we'll be completely fine this season. So confident.
100%.
Like,
yeah,
that game, just like I was actually like happy after the game. I'm not happy with the result, but I was happy with the way we played, happy with the mentality of the team, happy that players on the fringes have come in and put performances in like they did. Like it was apart from the result, I took away so many positives from the game yesterday.
Look, at the end of the day, we know we're very early in the Ange era. These kind of results, 3 losses in a row, we've been spoiled in the first 10 games with the results we were getting and some of the performances. So we're now going through a tough patch. That was always going to happen. It could have easily happened in the first 3 games of the season, but it's happening now.
But I think this hard patch is going to make us stronger as
100%. And for me, the fact that we had the team that we had out yesterday with all the injuries and we played the way that we did shows to me that Ange can really cobble together what we have to still make a team that can play his way of playing, and he's not afraid to change things. That was the thing that I was so most happy and excited about after yesterday's performance, and even seeing the lineup. He saw the game against Wolves and he was like, I ain't having any of that. The team against Wolves was nowhere near the level that I want in my team, so he completely changed it up. He was brave in his selection, and he got players like Kulusevski and Lo Celso playing in central midfield, doing the dirty work as well as doing all the beautiful stuff as well, and they were absolute treat, and that's exactly what you need to get to the level that we want to get to. Like, for example, you talk about like players playing in central midfield. Like you have someone like, say, for City, like Bernardo Silva, like a brilliant player. Everyone associates him with like unbelievable, close control, and he's just a brilliant footballer. But what people don't always give him praise for is what he's off the ball, because Pep gets him to almost be like a defensive midfielder off the ball. He's so great in the duels, and that is where those kind of things, when you get a good player like him off the ball doing the dirty work as well, then all of a sudden you can have a complete team performance. And that's what I was seeing yesterday from Kulu and Lo Celso. They weren't just, it's all well and good them doing the stuff on the ball, which we know they can do, but when I see them putting in tackles and like winning the midfield battle, then I'm saying, okay, Ange can really get this team playing at a really good level. Like, even like these great footballers, he can get them doing the dirty work off the ball, and that got me really, really excited. So for me, I don't care what happens in City. We can lose it. We can make it 4 losses in a row. It doesn't bother me. I think we're definitely on the right path this season with Ange, and I can't wait to see more of the football that I saw yesterday.
And I think as well, like people that are getting a bit irate that we're losing all these games 3 in a row, potentially could be 4 at City this weekend. I think people got to realise and maybe readjust what their thoughts were and remember what our thoughts were going into the season. Like people, when we were going into the season, when we just hired Ange, and maybe at the end of the transfer window were saying, you know what, if we get Europa League this year, it'll be a good season, a good building block season after finishing 8th last year. We put ourselves in an unbelievable position after the first 10 games, unbeaten, top of the league and all that. I just feel like people got to remember that this year should only be kind of remembered, or only the expectations this year should be like a building block season. First season, a new way of playing football. First season with a new manager and a completely new philosophy. So I think that, even if we don't get top 5 or top 4 this season, it's not a disaster. It's really not. We need to remember what we were like in the past few seasons, and coming into this season, like, as long as we're on the right path and as long as we keep building the way we're building, we're going to be completely fine.
100%. I couldn't agree more than that. So it's always going to have hiccups. We're in a hiccup right now, but we'll get through it. And I think we'll come out the other side. And if we're going to go for a bad, if this is what we're playing like in our bad period, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? And
like people last season, what were they saying? Oh, we don't care about this. We don't care. We just want to see good football.
Well, here it is.
And we're watching good football week in, week out, maybe Wolves game aside, but we're watching good football week in, week out right now. And it's great to see. And like, when you cast your mind back to the Jose Mourinho's and the Antonio Conte days and the Nuno days, like when results started to slip, like we were falling asleep watching games and also didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel when like the results started to slip. Now results are slipping, but me and you are sitting here so confident and so positive about the future of the football club.
Well, at the end of the day, we're only 4 points off top. It's so early. It's so tight. Man United have had a disastrous start to the season. They're only 6 points off top now. So It's still very early. I'm not saying we're going to go win the league or anything like that. Obviously,
that's next
but
season.
Exactly. But definitely for me, even if we could lose the next 2 games, and I still think we got a good chance of finishing top 5. I think in this season, it's very close, very competitive. You've got to remember, it's a long season. When maybe in the second half of the season, that's when it's really going to start catching up with teams of European football and stuff like that, where we're going to have no Europe. So hopefully we can end the season even stronger as well. So for me, I'm not deterred. It's only reinforced my excitement for Ange and the whole project he's building for me. So look, it's a bad defeat to take because we played so well, but you just got to take it on the chin. It's one of those.
It's like people always going on about Arsenal and how solid they are at the back and everything like that, and their attack has struggled this season because of the way they've switched up their but style of play a little bit, and their defense is impenetrable, it looks like at the moment, but their attack has suffered from it. But if you take out Gabriel and Saliba from that team, are you telling me they're going to keep winning games? No chance. So anyone who wants to lay into Spurs for losing games, just look at the injuries that we have. Look at the way we're playing our football with still having those injuries. We've got a bright future here at Tottenham Hotspur, so I'm very excited. But that is our match review from the 2-1 defeat yesterday.